So as a kid,
Okay.
I heard about the military so much and how much my parents appreciated Canada. So joining in 75, I just wanted to give back to the country.
Right. And I think you've followed in your father's footsteps going armored as well, correct?
Well, as an air cadet, I thought I wanted to be a pilot, as
Okay.
many do. But then I realized through the various medical testing that I was just a little bit colorblind. And my wife had told me never to buy her clothing again because what I think is beautiful blue turns out to be purple. Anyway, so, but when the options were out there, I said, hey, you know what? If being a tanker was good enough for my dad, it's good enough for me. And I was thrilled becoming a tanker after I went to mill call. My dad died when I was only 9. Again, he had a tough war, self-medicated. I can only imagine what
Right.
he went through from a mental health standpoint. He was a good dad, but he self-medicated with booze. And, he would, on Friday nights, he would come home, give mama the check. She would give him a few dollars, and he'd go out to the Monte Casino Legion or out to the beer parlor with his
Okay.
battle buddies. And so he died when I was pretty young. And so, in a way, cadets and then going to the military replaced that father image for me. And I tell you what, we were in rough shape. We were on welfare in Winnipeg. We had a rough go. And I was the man of the family. I had to work. And so going to military college was the way I could go to university. Otherwise, it just wouldn't work out.
Right.
And so military gave me an education, it gave me a career. And I'm always appreciative to Canada for that.
Right. And you deployed a bunch of times. I kind of reading your wiki page there. And so you hit Cyprus in the late 80s, and I did Cyprus in 2011, so it's quite different nowadays, I'm sure, than it was back in the 80s. But you've done Cyprus, you've done a couple of tours in Bosnia, some stint in Germany as well. What was it like, I think, going back to Germany, or going to Germany, knowing that your mother was from that area? Did you have that bit of a
Yeah,
nostalgia?
it was pretty powerful. In 79, then I graduated from Collège Militaire Royal de Saint-Jean. So I went to Royal Roads for 2 years and then CMR in Saint-Jean, and then I deployed to Germany. And it was pretty powerful. And you have to remember back in 1979, the Cold War was at its pinnacle.
Very much.
And I believe that's the year that the Russians went into Afghanistan. And so we were on high alert. And so, like, that was the operational thing. In hindsight, we think, okay, it's the Cyprus, the Bosnia, the Kosovos, Middle East, Afghanistan. But at the time, where it was rocking and rolling was in Europe. And so I was tank troop leader, recce troop leader. I was at brigade headquarters as the aide-de-camp to the commander, and then finally a recce LO. I did 4 years in Germany. And so we thought we were pretty operational at the time because at the time the Cold War was really rocking. And then a few years later, with the Royal Canadian Dragoons out of Petawawa, I went to Cyprus. And again, we did like a little bit of training in base Petawawa, as people remember, driving on the left side of the road and that kind of thing. But leaving Petawawa in February of 1989, and it was minus 25 in Petawawa. Here, a week later, I'm on top of Stavros Hill in Cyprus, and we've got this mass riot happening between the Greek Cypriots and the Turkish riot police. And here we are, the thin blue line, holding folks apart. And as the adjutant of the regiment, I was in the CO's tack, so to speak. We're dismounted, so I'm running up and down the line, and I get walloped by an electric cattle prod.
Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah. There's actually a little video about that because the regimental photographer was just down, and it was my first experience here getting hit, in this operation. electric cattle prod, you just kind of crumble kind of thing. It's like, hey, get back at it.
Welcome to Cyprus, zap.
Yeah. And then later on in the summer, I think it was the 15th anniversary of the invasion, 15th of July, we had a big incursion into Beaver Lodge. And the force commander at the time was Major General Clive Milner. And he directed, he said, okay, we've got the Turks in Beaver Lodge. We're bombing up and we're going in. And so as a regiment, we bombed up, live ammo, grenades. Like we were ready to rock and roll. And then the Turks blinked and pulled back. But it was understanding the reality of operations. And for me, it's great schooling before a few years later going to Bosnia.
Right.
You know, I had 2 weeks notice that I was going to go to Bosnia for a full year.
Goodness.
And that was in May of '94. And so there was just enough time to figure out, you know, the house situation and get my needles, but there was no training. And within 2 weeks, here I was in a place called Gornji Vakuf, in between the Bosnian Croats and the Bosniaks, on the line at a headquarters that was in a minefield. And the orders are coming in, and there's small arms fire all around us.
Goodness.
And I'm the chief of operations of a 6th Battalion force with thousands of soldiers, including Canbat too. You know, at the time it was Lord Strathcona Horse.
Wow.
And later on the Dragoons replaced them. So I did 6 months in Gornji Vakuf as the chief of operations. And then I rotated into Zagreb, where I was the chief of all land operations across UNPROFOR for my final 6 months. And so all that experience back in Cyprus, you know, was great preparation for Bosnia and realizing that there are no good guys and you can't predict the future. And so you do the best you can.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and that's the challenge, right? Like, especially in those kind of environments where you're trying to maintain the peace and you have two warring factions. Yeah, there is no good guy. So, like, you know, how do you really, you know, keep them apart without getting bitter and push off both?
And you have to remain unbiased. And again, I think Canadian sailors, soldiers, airmen, and women, air personnel are like the best military folks in the world because of our training, our discipline, our multicultural approach, the fact that we speak multiple languages, we're a country of immigrants, but we come to the fight, come to the peacekeeping mission as a very disciplined professional force.
Right.
And that's what I think makes great peacekeepers is folks who not only have the skills, but they have the discipline and they have the knowledge about how and when to use force and diplomacy.
Right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more with retired General Walter Natynczyk. Thank you.